We were officially on the other side of that eclipse portal. Neptune has entered into Aries, and we're looking ahead at the month of April. The astrology is very interesting. We do not have a repeat of March. March was intense. It was probably one of the most astrologically intense months of 2025. April, it feels like a wave. You know, the first part is an in-breath where there's mostly good things going on. I think it's going to be a nice couple of first weeks in April. The second part, we have more complexity going on. So I'm going to explain that to you. And I don't want you to be worried about it though, because it's something we've actually already experienced before. And I think it's a revelation moment. So even though it's tension, I think it's revelation. So let's get started. The first chunk of days, which are significant, April 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. April 4th is pretty sweet. We have some big malefic planets, Saturn, Mars, Uranus, but they're all really doing cool stuff. It's like the meetup that's happy and supportive to each other. It's like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And so we have Saturn sextiling Uranus, and that's coming from Pisces to Taurus. We have Mars sextiling Uranus from Cancer to Taurus. And then in the meantime, Mars trine Saturn, which is Cancer to Pisces. I looked it up in Ren Butler's book, The Archetypal Universe. I really love the way he puts three planets together. So Mars, Saturn with Uranus in a positive state. It's a gift for facing problems and finding solutions, a capacity to actively hold tension within one's being until a resolution presents itself, consistent effort to curb one's volatile reactive tendencies, liberation from old resentments. It has to do with the earth and water sign energy. So it's something that's going on inside of us. It's an emotional release. It's something that we are feeling more than doing. On April 6th, we have two things going on: Sun sextile Jupiter and Venus trine Mars. Again, two very positive things. Venus and Mars, anytime they come together, it's, you know, especially in a trine, it's really nice. It's really good for the masculine and the feminine balance. And Sun sextiling Jupiter, it just expands. It brings that optimism, happiness. So I think April 6th should be a pretty generally very nice day for that. On April 7th, this is interesting. Venus conjunct Saturn. So she'll do it 2 times in this month, one at the beginning and one at the end. So Venus is still going retrograde, conjoined Saturn at 25 degrees Pisces. And on that very same day, April 7th, 2 other things happen. Mercury stations direct and Venus sextiles Uranus. This is an interesting day. This, do you know what I mean? 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, depending on where you are. This is a really beautiful week. I'm excited to see how this goes. But Venus conjoining Saturn, you might think, oh, she's getting restricted or boundaries or whatever. But Saturn in Pisces already is pretty chill. And Venus and Saturn actually have a compatibility, which people don't talk about very often. But if you think about Saturn being the exaltation ruler of Venus's masculine air sign of Libra, it means that they have something that binds them. And that's the appreciation of mastery, aesthetics, balance, making things correct. Okay, so when they meet up, Venus is in her exaltation. I think that's a very nice thing for Venus and Saturn here. Of course, Mercury stationing direct, woohoo! No more blaming Mercury retrograde for stuff. I am getting a dishwasher. I'm going to order a new dishwasher. I've been waiting. My dishwasher is leaking, and I just didn't want to buy it during Mercury retrograde because I'm like, I can't afford to have another problem with my dishwasher. So anyway, that's my plan. Super exciting. On April 12th or 13th, depending on where you are, we have a full moon in Libra. On that same day, Venus stations direct, which means no more retrograde action, and it's just stopped. And so Venus stationing direct as there's a full moon in Libra. She rules Libra. She's ruling it from her exaltation in Pisces. This feels really, really good for the lunation. On the 15th of April, Mercury leaves Pisces where it's in detriment, right? By the dignity scheme. And so it enters Aries. It's following along, trying to catch up with the sun again. And as it does that, it's going to conjoin with Neptune, the first time ever in Aries. Well, not ever, but the first time in our lifetime that it's conjoined with Aries. It did conjoin in Pisces not too long ago, but wow, this is a whole new energy. Whenever 2 planets do a conjunction, they become one. So we're thinking about Mercury as our mind, our communication, and Neptune is the greater, right? It's very expansive. And so meeting up in Aries, I think we're really starting to just kind of understand what is the mentality of what Neptune brings collectively. It's a collective active expression that is going to be in the world. It's coming through. So we're really starting to see the first glimpses of how that's going to affect our minds. On the 17th, Mars enters Leo, out of Cancer, the sign of its fall. See how many these things were? That's why it's so complicated right now, because all these planets are in their exaltations, fall, detriment. It's all these places that may be a little bit different. Because we've had that retrograde, we've been in Leo before, and Mars is returning. The king has returned. Mars in Leo is very powerful, very regal. The next thing that happens is Sun enters Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. The 19th, also, we have Mars trining Neptune. Mars and Neptune. Let's see what Ren Butler has to say about those two together. With it being a trine, we're going to look at the positive aspects, the positive principles. Mars and Neptune together, spiritual and creative vitality, magnetic warmth and charisma, a gentle and sensitive strength, gifts of compassionate action, and enlightened non-action. I feel like there's just something brewing, and it has to do with the spirituality and a shift. There's some big thing coming. And I think these are our first glimpses at the positivity. And I like that at the start. We want to see the best. We want to have that beginner's mind and, not make a lot of judgments. We're going into something brand new. So having an open mind here. The last third of the month, basically, that's when we have more of the frictional energy. The 20th of April, Venus is going to sextile Uranus again. We've already had that, but this is while she's going direct. And that's stimulating this different ideas and stuff to Venus. Then we also have Mercury sextiling Pluto. We also have Sun squaring Mars. That's where we're starting with the friction, because it's the beginning of what's going to be a T-square that has to go with the lunation. The new moon in Taurus is T-square with Mars opposite Pluto. Mars and Pluto, we have been here before because this is the third time, the third pass. So there's a revelation that's coming. That revelation can be built into the new moon intentions, I think, where you can be empowered by it. Let me explain what a T-square is really quickly. So the way I perceive it is like, imagine a country road. And so it's a one-lane road, and we have two cars coming towards each other on the one-lane road. And there's also a T, right? There's another car that's coming from another street, and they're just coming. There's nowhere to go. There's no shoulder. There's some problem that needs to be solved. So we have two coming at each other. That would be our opposition. And then a third thing coming in and activating a third issue. The good thing about that is Venus, the ruler of this lunation, is still in Pisces, inner sign of exaltation. So that brings some softness, some imagination, some love, some beauty, expansion. It kind of feels like a video game, all this stuff. The more you look at it, it's like it's just this code. It's all coded in. And the video game, we have to go through these levels, and some parts of the levels have to be challenging. I mean, I didn't play too many video games, but I had a Game Boy growing up, and I had few games. I had Tetris, Paperboy, Mario Brothers. Paperboy was so hard. There's always a dog chasing you and trying to take you off your bike, and it was always Paperboy was hard. Anyway, Mario was the one I was thinking of. And Mario, you have that first level. It's pretty super easy. How do you get around these little crab dudes? How do you jump over holes? And that builds you up for this level 2. And level 2 is going to be harder, and so forth and so forth. You can't get to level 3 unless you can pass level 2. So that's the way I see these challenging things that come into our lives. It's a leveling up. It's like meeting a boss at the end of a level. And you're like, okay, how do we work this? What do I need to restructure? What do I need to face? What am I trying to fight? And where do I need to maybe let something go? Another way to understand the energy of a T-square is with Jurassic Park. Okay, so there's the beginning where they show up on the island. All the scientists, everybody is there. And they get to see the dinosaurs for the first time. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Wow, this is phenomenal. And they tour the lab. They get to ride that ride and see the raptor hatch and all that stuff. And then they go to dinner. And they're going to dinner, and there's 3 characters. Mr. Hammond is the creator of Jurassic Park, and he's in triumph. He's created something groundbreaking. He's brought dinosaurs back. And so he's representative of one thing. So let's call him the sun in Taurus. Then there's Dr. Malcolm, and he questions the premise of the park. He pokes holes in the logic. He looks at the math, and he's just seeing all the unpredictability. That's Pluto in Aquarius, and the voice that brings up what others can't see. It's forcing deeper truth onto the table. Then there's the two doctors, Dr. Sattler and Dr. Grant, and they're reacting from their theory. They're feeling what's happening in real time. They're concerned about the animals. They're concerned about the care of the animals, and that's Mars and Leo, unafraid to call out what feels off. Okay, so all three of them are at the table, and nobody agrees. They all have three different viewpoints on the thing. The pressure doesn't explode in the moment, but you can feel the weight of it. That's the emotional tone of the T-square. So tension comes to the surface. Each of them are holding on to their position. And when the structure can't stretch any further, then something changes. The Jeep tour. Hopefully not with the bad elements, not with the T-Rex. At the end of the month, we have April 30th, 2025. Venus enters Aries again for the second time. And that will be at the end of the month. So it kind of wraps it up. Venus is a big deal in April. I'm going to give you some strange advice. It's better not to think about this stuff too much. I mean, I just kind of like to know what the vibe is. And I'll know the first couple of weeks are probably going to be pretty pleasant. And then maybe something in the last third of the month is going to be maybe a little bit frictional. Depends on your chart, really. Depends on what's being activated for you. But just I'll know, okay, if there's something frictional, I just know I need to wait it out and measure my balance a little bit better. I wish you a beautiful month ahead. I like you just the way you are. Thank you for being here with me, and I will talk to you next time.